In the shadowy corridors of human history, a sinister truth lurks, one that binds us inexorably to the desperate choices of our ancestors. Welcome, dear viewers, to a realm where the past casts long, dark shadows over our present. I am your guide through this twilight world of scientific discovery, where we shall unravel the haunting legacy encoded in our very DNA. Many cultures speak of ancient curses, passed down through generations like whispered secrets. But what if these curses were not the stuff of legend, but rather the tangible consequences of our forebears' struggle to survive? Tonight, we delve into the chilling reality that the genetic diseases plaguing modern society may be the price we pay for our ancestors' endurance. Picture, if you will, a world ravaged by plague, where survival hinged on the cruel lottery of genetics. In those desperate times, certain genes offered salvation, allowing our predecessors to weather storms of pestilence and famine. But as these genes were passed down, they evolved into the very afflictions that torment us today, a debt to our lineage that we cannot escape. Let us begin our journey in the sun-drenched lands of the Mediterranean, where an insidious condition known as thalassemia runs rampant through the population. This is no mere coincidence, but a grim reminder of the region's battle against a far deadlier foe, malaria. As wave after wave of this parasitic scourge swept through ancient communities, those with a particular genetic quirk found themselves unexpectedly shielded from its ravages. This genetic armor came at a cost, the potential for anemia in future generations. Yet in the face of near-certain death, it was a bargain our ancestors were forced to strike. And so the seeds of thalassemia were sown, a genetic time bomb ticking away in the bloodlines of Mediterranean peoples. But the curse does not end there. Let us turn our gaze northward, to the frigid realms of Scandinavia, where a different specter haunts the young type 1 diabetes. The land of the midnight sun harbors an unusually high incidence of this autoimmune disorder, a fact that has long puzzled researchers. Yet as we peel back the layers of history, a disturbing pattern emerges. The harsh Nordic climate and unique dietary challenges of centuries past may have sculpted the immune systems of these northern dwellers into hypervigilant sentinels. In the face of unknown threats, their bodies learned to react with swift and merciless efficiency. But in our modern world, this hair-trigger defense has turned against its own creators, mistaking the vital insulin-producing cells of the pancreas for invaders to be destroyed. As we traverse the globe, we find ourselves in the ancient lands of China, where yet another curse manifests, the epidemic of type 2 diabetes. Many would attribute this solely to changes in lifestyle and diet, but the truth is far more insidious. Hidden within the genetic code of many Chinese individuals lies a predisposition to insulin resistance, a trait that once helped their ancestors survive periods of famine, but now leaves them vulnerable in an age of abundance. These examples paint a grim picture. Our genetic inheritance is not merely a gift from our forebears, but a double-edged sword forged in the crucible of their suffering. The very adaptations that ensured their survival now threaten our own well-being, a cruel irony of evolution. But to truly understand the depth of this genetic curse, we must delve deeper into the annals of history. Let us follow the trail of Dr. Shah, a researcher whose work has shed light on the origins of these curses. His investigation began with one of history's most infamous killers, the Black Death. As Dr. Shah pored over historical records, a chilling pattern emerged. The plague's mortality rate was inextricably linked to the health of its victims, but not in the way one might expect. Counterintuitively, it was the malnourished elderly and children who often survived, while healthy adult males perished in droves. This macabre observation set Dr. Shah on a path that would challenge our understanding of disease and immunity. His attention turned to the women who survived the plague at higher rates. Many suffered from iron deficiency anemia, a condition that in the throes of the Black Death seemed to offer a ghastly form of protection. The monthly blood loss experienced by women of childbearing age inadvertently lowered their iron levels, creating an environment hostile to the plague bacteria. For in the grim dance of infection, iron becomes a feast for pathogens, and those lacking this vital element found themselves unexpectedly shielded. This revelation sent shockwaves through the scientific community and forces us to reconsider our genetic heritage. How many of our modern afflictions can be traced back to the survival strategies of our ancestors? What pressures shape the genes we carry today? Perhaps what we call genetic diseases are not mere malfunctions, but living testaments to our species' tenacity, a bridge between past and present. Dr. Shah's research reveals that our genetic burdens are not simply curses to be born, but the results of choices made in humanity's darkest hours. Even in our modern world, these genes continue to influence our health in ways we are only beginning to understand. It serves as a stark reminder that we must look beyond immediate lifestyle factors and diet to truly comprehend the forces at work within our bodies. As Dr. Shah delved deeper into his research, he began to uncover connections between ancient medical practices and our modern understanding of immunity. The medieval practice of bloodletting, long dismissed as a barbaric and misguided treatment, took on new significance in light of these discoveries. Could it be that our ancestors, in their desperate attempts to combat the plague, stumbled upon a crude yet effective method of manipulating the body's iron levels? The doctor's investigations led him to a startling hypothesis: that in certain cases, deliberately limiting iron intake might enhance the immune system's ability to fight off specific pathogens. This idea challenges our modern notions of nutrition and health, suggesting that in some instances, what we perceive as a deficiency might actually be a form of protection. To test this theory, Dr. Shah and his team conducted a series of experiments, comparing the response of iron-deficient macrophages to those with normal iron levels when exposed to plague bacteria. The results were nothing short of astounding. In the iron-poor environment, the macrophages demonstrated a remarkable ability to starve and ultimately destroy the invading pathogens. Meanwhile, their iron-rich counterparts fell victim to the bacteria's onslaught. This discovery not only sheds new light on historical medical practices, but also opens up new avenues for modern treatment. Could controlled iron restriction be used to enhance immunity against certain infections? The implications are both exciting and unsettling, forcing us to reconsider our approach to nutrition and disease prevention. But the story doesn't end there. Dr. Shah's research led him to explore other historical epidemics, including malaria's impact on Mediterranean populations. Long before the plague ravaged Europe, malaria had been shaping the genetic landscape of the region. Those born with the thalassemia trait, while suffering from mild anemia, found themselves resistant to the malaria parasite. In a cruel twist of fate, their defective red blood cells became a fortress against this deadly invader. This pattern of genetic trade-offs repeats itself across human history and geography. In New Zealand, the Maori people's traditional diet led to widespread iron overload, resulting in a host of health issues. Yet when compared to individuals with balanced iron levels, those without the anemia genes often displayed more robust immune responses in everyday life. Such contrasts serve to highlight the complex relationship between our genes, our environment, and our health. Dr. Shah's work has not gone unnoticed by the medical community. Researchers around the world are now exploring how these insights might be applied to treat various conditions. Could carefully managed iron levels help boost immunity in certain patients? Might we develop new strategies for combating antibiotic-resistant infections by manipulating the body's iron balance? As we near the end of our journey through this shadowy realm of genetic curses and ancestral choices, we find ourselves facing a profound dilemma. The very traits that once ensured our survival now threaten our well-being, in a world vastly different from that of our forebears. Diabetes, once a potential advantage in times of scarcity, has become an epidemic in our age of abundance. The hyper-vigilant immune systems that protected our ancestors from unknown pathogens now turn against us in the form of autoimmune disorders. Yet in this darkness, there is a glimmer of hope. By understanding the historical context of our genetic inheritance, we gain new tools to combat the afflictions that plague us. Dr. Shah's research into iron levels and immunity opens up new avenues for treatment, while our growing understanding of genetic predispositions allows for more targeted preventive measures. But with this knowledge comes a heavy responsibility. As we unravel the mysteries encoded in our DNA, we must grapple with difficult ethical questions. How do we balance the need for medical advancement with respect for the complex tapestry of human genetic diversity? In our quest to eliminate genetic curses, do we risk losing the very traits that might protect us from future threats? Moreover, this journey forces us to confront the interconnectedness of human history and biology. The choices made by our ancestors in their struggle for survival continue to reverberate through our genes, binding us to a past we can barely fathom. In every cell of our bodies, we carry the echoes of ancient battles against disease, famine, and environmental challenges. As we conclude our exploration, I leave you with a chilling thought to ponder in the dark hours of the night. What unseen forces are shaping our genes today? In our modern world of rapid technological advancement and environmental change, what new curses might we be inadvertently creating for future generations? The genetic legacy we inherit is neither wholly a blessing nor entirely a curse. It is a complex, often contradictory gift from our ancestors, a reminder of their tenacity and the high price of survival. As we move forward, armed with this knowledge, we must tread carefully, balancing our desire to overcome genetic afflictions with an understanding of the delicate interplay between our genes and our environment. In the end, perhaps the true curse is not the genetic hand we've been dealt, but the hubris that leads us to believe we can easily untangle the Gordian knot of our evolutionary history. As you reflect on the information presented here, ask yourself, how will the choices we make today echo in the genes of our descendants? And what price might they pay for our survival? Remember, dear viewers, that in the grand tapestry of human existence, we are but a single thread, connected to those who came before and those yet to come. Our genes tell a story of struggle, adaptation, and survival. It is up to us to write the next chapter wisely.